This is election interference at its finest against the leading candidate right now for president, for either party. President Trump is under siege in a way that we have never seen before.
Hey there, guys. Welcome to the channel. So we did a video yesterday on Trump's absolutely vicious and super amazing and literally just about every single way attack lawyer, Alina Habba. And in the comments, a guy named Dale said something that really got me looking at this thing from an entirely different direction, an entirely different way. I want to talk about what I think might be a giant twist in Trump's January 6th case. And really, this is absolutely wild when you think about it. It seems to me like the government may have actually accidentally opened themselves up to some unexpected consequences. And this is probably going to blow up right in their faces. So Trump, if he's looking at it like this, I'm sure that they are, because they've got some very, very smart attorneys. They've got to be licking their chops, man, thinking about realizing his dream of presenting the election evidence that they've been trying to get into court actually on the record. They are going to have a chance to put these things in the court on the record for all to see. And I found a clip of one of his former attorneys walking us through this. But before that, guys, thanks to everyone that's been subscribing and leaving such great comments. We really, really appreciate the support. It's going to be an awesome journey together. And if you haven't already, guys, please help us out with the algorithm. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share the channel. And we'll grow and we'll do this thing together. So here we are. We have Trump's former lawyer, a guy named Jesse Binnall, making an appearance on Fox. And have a listen to what he's got to say.
So, Jesse, what's the legal strategy when you go to court for the Jan 6 case?
Well, the legal strategy in this case, I think, is very simple. You attack the facts that Jack Smith put out that are wrong. For instance, Jack Smith claiming, as you already pointed out, that Donald Trump did anything other than call for peace and patriotism on January 6th is wrong. And then you attack the law, because Jack Smith has the entire law in this case wrong. And more importantly, he's ignoring the Constitution of the United States. And here's how. The First Amendment gives you the right to speech, something that Jack Smith's prosecutors are completely ignoring. But more than that, it also gives you the right to petition Congress for redress of grievances. And in this case, when you are saying there was fraud in the election, there were problems in the election, and we think you should seat executors X instead of electors Y, that's something that the First Amendment under the Petition Clause clearly protects.
So the first interesting point from Trump's previous lawyer, and we'll get more from his current lawyers in a little while, but this guy Jesse made a couple key points. First, Trump has his First Amendment rights. And second, he's got the right to take issue with Congress, the people that are actually accusing him, pointing the fingers at him. And part of his right is the right to cross-examine, the right to introduce his evidence, and the most powerful one of all, the right to use subpoena power. And I'm going to talk more about that in just a few, but it is absolutely freaking huge. Let's keep this thing rolling.
And there are any number of other problems with this case, but I think most importantly, Jack Smith is terrified that Donald Trump is going to be elected again, because Jack Smith is actually the one terrified of democracy, because democracy would bring accountability for him and quite honestly, his out-of-control prosecutors and an out-of-control Justice Department.
When you guys
and so he brought this case in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows that's a joke. You'll probably try to take a motion to move venues. When you do, though, go to trial, are you going to be putting the 2020 election on trial? What will that look like?
Well, I'm not part of the trial team on this. He's got some excellent lawyers on this, including John Lauro. Is going to, I think, be able to put together a great case for this. But when they do go to trial, they absolutely, the government has opened up the 2020 election in their indictment, within the text of the indictment themselves. So you bet Donald Trump is going to have a case to show the irregularities and the fraud that was in the election. He can do that.
So this has pretty much got to be a dream come true for Trump. You know, it seems like the whole thing just exploded in their face, or at least it's on the way to doing that. All the man wanted was to have this evidence examined in the court of law, and they kept brushing him off, case after case, dismissing on this technicality or that technicality. Now they have got literally no choice but to listen to everything the man has got to say.
Buddy, I'm not paying you to hear your thoughts on life. I'm paying you to sing. Well, I have a microphone and you don't. So you will listen to every damn word I have to say!
So let's switch gears just a little bit. We're moving on to Trump's current legal representative. Let's hear what they have to say about this stuff.
President Trump will have subpoena power in connection with this case. So we will have the opportunity now, for the first time in many instances, to subpoena documents, to subpoena witnesses, to get to the truth as to what happened in 2020. And that's all that President Trump wanted from day one. He asked Mike Pence, pause the voting, send it back to the states so that they can recertify or they can do an audit. But everything the president did was with advice of counsel and getting to the truth. That should never be criminal.
So here's a curveball. Trump now has the power to subpoena. And who do you think he might summon with a subpoena? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, who you think he should call, who you would call. But let's think about every little under the radar piece of evidence that Trump now can call upon to support his claim about a rigged election, or about at least an election with some serious questions. I'm not talking about suspicious ballots, trucks backing up, or servers in Venezuela. I'm not talking about any of that. But let's consider, say, Mark Zuckerberg, a dude spent $419 million on nonprofits right before the 2020 election to rally the vote. Could that be relevant to why Trump felt there was some funny business going on? And of course, there were some emails, some really important emails that come to mind. Remember the whole Hunter Biden laptop saga and claims of Russian disinformation by numerous intel officials from both sides of the aisle. Let's get into the fine print there. This all happened during the Biden-Trump debates. There's a lot of potential threads to pull on here, and I'd like to hear from these people under oath. Let's
laptop from hell.
President Trump, we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
I have to respond to that.
Please,
because look,
very quickly.
There are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan. They have said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
So Biden mentioned that 51 former intel officials signed a letter raising suspicions about the legitimacy or truth of the New York Post story about his son. Now, this obviously had an impact on the election. This is not just guesswork. There's a serious polling out there that shows a significant amount of people would have changed their mind or their vote had they been alerted to this information, had they believed this information. They directly say that the Hunter Biden laptop situation was significant for them. So what if these 51 former intel officials were subpoenaed about who encouraged them to label the Hunter Biden laptop incident as likely Russian disinformation? They were very careful with the way they worded it, looking back. But by the way, we know now that it was a lie. And I'd like to know if they knew it was a lie. What if we subpoenaed them? Now, here's another thought. What about subpoenaing the Pennsylvania Supreme Court? They, just a few years ago, instructed Pennsylvania counties to halt counting absentee ballots or mail-in ballots for the 2022 general election if the return envelopes didn't have accurate handwritten dates. They also told the counties to separate and store those ballots so they could be looked at after and figured out. But interestingly, ballots just like that, they were told to count them during the 2020 race. But the court's decision, it doesn't mean that they believe that it was rigged. But it does believe, it does make sense to at least subpoena these guys and call the Pennsylvania Supreme Court and ask them, why did they apply different standards in two different elections for counting the very, very same kind of ballots? Why loosen the rules in 2020 and then tighten them back up in 2022? The whole situation, it doesn't make any sense. And what Jack Smith's got going on, I think is going to end up being a big slap in his face. But it looks like Trump is going to get his day in court. The truth will eventually surface, and Trump will likely be exonerated. I do worry, of course, about the jury makeup in a place like D.C., but, who knows? But the guy, he's got the right. He's got the right to assert his freedom of speech, to voice his opinion that the 2020 election was not legitimate, and it's just an opinion. Whether you agree, whether I agree, doesn't matter. Let me know in the comments if you do. But I like to think we can all agree on one thing, that Donald Trump, like the rest of us, has the right to hold an opinion. And I'm obviously still trying to wrap my head around a Reconstruction era law that can be reimagined to prosecute your First Amendment protected speech as long as the government mind readers can prove that you didn't actually believe what you were saying. That still doesn't make any sense to me. And if anyone has been able to reconcile that, please let me know in the comments. And guys, this is just my take. Let me know yours. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share the Common Sense Garage. We'll see you in the next one.